Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harping and Rugby podcast. Joining me this week is someone back for cap number 75. Welcome back to Mr. Tom Coleman.
Evening, Jeff. Good to be back. Thank you very much.
And to start this week, although obviously any bonus point win is something to celebrate, I'd like to harp first on our NIQ signings for a bit. We only had two on show Saturday, but we'll look at Rabba as well, though we should probably kick off with RG Snyman. His trademark has always been his innovative offloads out of the tackle, but a common complaint from Leinster fans during and after the match was that maybe he does them too often. Do you agree, Tom, or how do you rate his time at Leinster overall?
Well, we signed him, at the start of last season, and he got voted URC Player of the Year. So I think that tells you how much of an impact he's had so far. And in some ways, for a lot of the games last season, we obviously won the league well in the end, and it was a very dominant final display as well. And RG was so important for a lot of that. So, like on the whole, he's been hugely positive, and he seems a well-liked guy. The Leinster squad has got a lot of younger second rows there, like O'Tiernan and Deeney and stuff like that, young Mangan and stuff like that. So I'm sure he's a good help around those type of guys as well, even though we've experienced internationals in McCarthy and James Ryan. But yeah, all in all, he's been positive. Touching on the game rather than the overall, like, impact. Yeah, I think there was a frustration there that some of the offloads were right or not on or less than 50-50. And um, I suppose in some ways, some of the Leinster players have to slightly adapt to expecting it. Like the one thing you should expect from RJ is that there's going to be an offload, a one-handed offload coming. Um, but what I actually liked about him, and when it's a young team that's playing generally, and you have young Tector playing 10, and without going through the 1 to 15, you're looking to the likes of our NIQs in this particular match to lead and make a big impact. So I think maybe some of the Leinster fans, or a lot of the Leinster fans' frustration with Archie's performance was that they wanted more from him, and to cut the error rate down, and it's that sort of thing. But we've spoken about how Leinster are trying to play this year. It is completely, from my mind, it's a lot more different. We're playing a lot more flat on the gain line, and you're looking for soft shoulders and people running lines, and a lot of the passes are flat along and we've seen balls go to ground, and we're trying, with our coach's hat and our analyst hat and our pundit's hat, trying to decipher the Leinster game plan. Um, uh, but I think given the way we're playing, RJ's very important to what probably the end product we are trying to get to come April and May. And I think he would be key the way he hits the gain line, and he's able to offload those soft shoulders and stuff like that, or soft passes off. So, while I understand the frustrations of the weekend, the overall impact has been very good, and I expect him to be key um, come the pointy end of the season. And I think we said or at least I said it in our own little WhatsApp group, that when the crunch came in the last 15 minutes, he stood up and he carried hard, a lot more direct, and took players out of it. So he wasn't looking for those offloads. So either word came in from the line, or he just did it upon himself. I'm sure he's an experienced international player, but he just was a lot more physical, a lot more direct, and it was more about taking Edinburgh potential tacklers, two and three of them with him. And then as Leinster went through a lot of phases in the last 15 minutes, and he was sucking in defenders, not just trying to offload them, he was sucking them in, quick recycle, good presentation on the ground. And Leinster started to get quick ball, and all of a sudden you could see that momentum shift, and Edinburgh fell off. And I know if Edinburgh have fans are looking at the game, they'll probably think this is a persistent problem with them about falling off in the last 15, 20 minutes of games anyway. So there could be a combination of both. But yeah, what I did like from him, even the frustrations aside for the first hour, say, was that he stood up when it counted, and when Leinster had to put the hammer down in the last 20 minutes, he was key, and he was the sort of the front end of the attack on big ball carrying. And yeah, it's nearly like he put on his South African jersey underneath and started playing a lot more physical and robust, um, compared to maybe the first hour where he was offloading any less than 50-50 ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think it I think when you're looking for reasons, I mean, the frustration was coming obviously from Leinster fans because, like we were talking last week about, we've had this great winning streak, but so many of the wins were come from behind,
Mm.
and we kind of looked at this one maybe as an opportunity, with all due respect to Edinburgh, but going before the Six Nations and everything, we were thinking maybe this was an opportunity for us to maybe just lock down a win and get the points early on, like just to sort of break out of that spell of the way the habits have been going for the recent weeks. And I suppose with his half, for one thing, you can't really miss him out in the pitch for one thing, but when
Mm.
he's trying these offloads so often, and when what Leinster's biggest problem is in attack, it's attacks breaking down consistently for knock-ons. I think there were wider problems. It definitely wasn't all down to him, but when you see him doing the offloads and they're not coming off, knock on after knock on, I think that's gonna bring out the frustration. He's kind of makes him an easy target. But even in this game, there were offloads that did come off, and I think he did one really good one that put Luke McGrath through into the 22 in the second half, and there were times when he did carry, like just before the try. I think it was the bonus point
Mm.
try or something. He did
Yeah,
one really good carry where he wasn't even thinking of the offload. He just kept it simple, and so.
correct.
But like I say, like in game as we're watching, I suppose it's great to be frustrated, and but you're absolutely right. I think his overall contribution has been positive, and of course we have to also account for the effect of these players on just being on the training paddock, and the younger players coming up, the Brian Deeneys and the Dermot Mangans and the Conor Tiernigs, just training with these players with such international experience. So that's so overall I'd say it is a positive. It was just that on the day, I suppose, in those moments, it was frustrating to see him doing it every single time and it not happening. I mean, it's one thing when the opposition don't expect you to do it, but when your own players aren't expect. I mean, you expect him to do the offload, but you never know which way it's going to go. Like it could literally be going
Yeah.
in any
I,
direction.
I I think like any sport and especially rugby, when it's a lot about repeating drills and especially the way Leinster are trying to play to a pattern, I think a little asterisk given the players that started in that game has to, no matter whose performance, doesn't matter if it's RG's we're talking here, but any of the lads' performance, like Dermot Mangan playing at eight, that's completely out of his comfort zone. He's not a big known as ball carrier. He's not known as distribution. And the way Leinster used that eight, obviously Charlie Tector was playing 10, Kieran Mangan at 12, young Ruben Maloney, and you can go on and on and on and about combinations and about playing. If somebody said to you a lot of what Leinster are trying to do this season anyway breaks down, and then you add in the ingredient of this scattering of academy players, if we put on our sort of honesty caps, you probably go, it's no surprise it broke down or they weren't singing off the same hymn sheet. So, obviously maybe RG felt he was the one that was had to keep that game plan of taking it to the
Make
game
something
line
happen.
and
Yeah,
encourage to
yeah.
make something happen and probably try too hard maybe rather than just people would mistake his character for nonchalance. Sometimes he's such an easygoing guy, but in some ways he was probably trying to lead from the front too much and make something happen. Because we had other players that the eights that we have in the squad, for example, we such a key role about carrying and distribution and stuff like that. That obviously that was out of Dermot Mangan's comfort zone. That so maybe there was an element of that for RG too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was very much a patchwork Leinster team, like you said, and also, one of the reasons we follow Leinster rugby, we love this style of rugby, is because players like him are doing something a little bit different,
Mm.
and even if they don't, if it, and if they stick, and if it works, it's genius, and we make
Mm.
YouTube reels of them. So, I suppose once in a while they're not going to work, so you have to expect that and make allowances for it.